Hey YouTube, Film Geek here, and today I'm ranking the Leprechaun films from my favorite to least favorite films. This isn't based off of any Metacritic scores or any kind of Rotten Tomato or anything like that. These are just my personal preferences, and when I watch Leprechaun movies, these are the ones that stand out the most to me. Now this list only includes the Warwick Davis Leprechaun films, and that's the 6 original films. There was the 2014 attempt at a reboot by the WWE guys. There's also the 2018 Leprechaun film, which I haven't seen. Neither of those movies are going to be on this list. This is just going to be the 6 films that were starring Warwick Davis. Now the interesting thing about the Leprechaun films is that none of these films are linked whatsoever. In each one of these movies, it's actually supposed to be a different leprechaun. It just so happens that apparently every leprechaun in the universe is Warwick Davis. My favorite Leprechaun film, so number 1 is Leprechaun 2. I really enjoy Leprechaun 2. I think this is one where they really started to have a lot of fun with this movie franchise. This one is a lot funnier than the first movie. I feel like they tried to take themselves a little serious with the first one, but in the second one they were definitely like, no man, it's a killer leprechaun. We're going balls to the wall with this one. So I really enjoyed that about the film. It's just silly, it's goofy, it's B-movie fun, and I sometimes get this one confused with the first movie because I watch it so much more than Leprechaun 1. So then my second favorite, of course, is Leprechaun 1, and that's the one that's starring Jennifer Aniston. And I forgot. Let me go over the plot of the Leprechaun films. Okay, so there's a leprechaun trying to kill people. They've stolen his gold. That's it. Every one of these movies is the same pretty much. In some way, shape, or another, they steal his gold. Now, in Leprechaun 1, the story is in a small town. It's more slasher film oriented. Not a lot of goofiness in this one. His powers in this one are stripped until he is able to get all of his gold, so he starts off very limited on power, where in the other movies he has all of his magical abilities, so there's some really crazy over-the-top kills and all, where the first movie I feel kind of plays it straight until later on in the movie. Now the first one, like I said, they try to take it into more of a legitimate horror film, and that's why it's not my favorite. And the reason why 2 is my favorite then, of course, is because it just goes nuts. It's goofy as hell. I mean, at one point, the leprechaun just comes buzzing out of a freaking garage in like a leprechaun go-kart for no reason. I love that movie. Number 3 on this list is Leprechaun in the Hood. This film is actually really good. This is probably the best looking of all of the Leprechaun films. It's very well shot. The acting is solid all around. There's no questionable acting in this film whatsoever. Everything's pretty good. The story's pretty solid. It's about these up-and-coming rappers that are trying to make it. There's this magic whistle that's involved. It's really the only one that's not just so focused around him getting his gold. Don't worry, that getting his gold is part of it somewhere, but mostly he's looking for this magic whistle. They don't really explain exactly what this golden whistle does. It kind of, I guess, makes people do what you want them to, or it just makes them pay attention. It's really hard to tell. However they use it, it seems to have a different reaction every time they use this whistle. But man, the leprechaun just has to have it. And in this one, I really feel that Warwick Davis is really kind of getting into his character. Not that he doesn't in all the films. I mean, to be perfectly honest, the only good thing about these movies is Warwick Davis. But in this one, I really feel like he puts some real swagger into the leprechaun. That brings me to number 4, and that's Leprechaun Back to the Hood. Now in this one we go back to the original formula of someone has found the leprechaun's gold and he's pissed off and he wants it back. This one goes right back into more of the slasher territory. It's still really lighthearted, it's still a lot of fun. Again, it is another very well shot film. The acting is again really solid in this movie. It's an all-around fun film. That brings me to number 5, which is Leprechaun 3. Leprechaun 3 for me, it just didn't do it. There's a lot of stuff in this movie that I just didn't quite grasp. Now, there's a character who is slowly turning into a leprechaun, I guess. I don't recall what is causing him to do that. He bit the gold to see if it was real gold or something, I don't know, but one of the characters is slowly turning into a leprechaun, and it all takes place in Las Vegas, so there's just a bunch of Vegas jokes, stuff about Elvis, just stuff like that. So yeah, I don't watch Leprechaun 3 very much. Alright, in the last movie, they do what all franchises normally do when they die, and that is go to space. So my least favorite of all of the Leprechaun films is Leprechaun 4, in space. Yes, just Leprechaun in space. There's nothing else to it. This movie makes no goddamn sense whatsoever. It just starts off with the Leprechaun trying to kidnap this galactic princess so that he can take over this planet. And then these space marines, yes, space marines, they really put it on the nose on what they're trying to do here. The space marines show up, and I honestly don't remember if there's a reason for it. Now, again, I watched this movie recently. In fact, I watched this movie just yesterday, and I still can't remember the reason why in God's green earth the space marines landed on the planet with the leprechauns. The leprechauns on the planet trying to get the space princess. They kind of kill the leprechaun, and then he comes out of a man's penis. Yes, that's right. Yep, right there is what happens. Later on down the road, he gets back up on the ship, and it's trying to be aliens, like really bad. This movie wants to be aliens really, really bad, but it's not. But the leprechaun comes out of a man's penis. If there's any reason to watch this movie, is to see a leprechaun come out of a man's penis. When it comes to the Leprechaun franchise, for me, you can't get any better than Mr. Warwick Davis starring as the Leprechaun. He does not get enough recognition for how awesome he is in this role. He really is. Warwick Davis is a good actor. He's a lot of fun. And he takes this character and he makes it his own. You can tell that every director in this film just let him do his thing. They saw the potential and they just said, Warwick, please do it. Because man, he is awesome. He's always on point and he brings it every time. There's some great one-liners delivered by the Leprechaun. I mean, a friend with weed is a friend indeed. This is a great movie franchise. It's super fun. This franchise works not just in the Halloween season, but you can sit and watch this one on St. Patrick's Day. All right, guys. Thanks again for checking out the video. If you liked what you saw here, go ahead and hit the like. Ring that bell for notifications. Go ahead and subscribe. And, of course, like I always say, folks, keep watching movies, because you know I'm gonna.